What if I told you that your thoughts, your confidence, the way you talk to yourself, the chances you take and don't take, a huge part of that comes from thoughts you thought so many times that they just became you? Not from big events, not from talent you were born with, just thoughts repeated over and over until they turned into beliefs. And those beliefs turned into actions. And those actions turned into your life. Now, that's either a little scary or incredibly exciting because it means you're not stuck. It means your story can change. It means you have way more control of who you become than you probably think. Every thought you think on a regular basis is like a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. When you think to yourself, I'm just not good enough, over and over, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you act like it's true. You don't raise your hand. You don't go for that thing. You just play it safe. And playing it safe becomes your normal. But flip it around. When you think, I can figure this out, even when things are hard, especially when they're hard, you start to act like someone who figures things out. You try again, you ask for help, you keep going. And slowly, that becomes who you are. And your brain is actually physical. The thoughts you repeat create real pathways in your brain, like grooves in a road. The more you use the pathway, the deeper it gets. And the easier it is to go down that road automatically. That's why negative self-talk feels so natural if you've been doing it for years. It's not the truth. It's just a well-worn and well-familiar path. But the good news is you can build new roads. Now, I want to talk about the story you carry about who you are, because most of us have one, and it's usually pretty quiet and just running in the background. Things like, I'm just not a confident person. I'm not the kind of person who's good at this. I always self-sabotage, and things just never really work out well for me. Maybe you've said something like that. Maybe you've thought it so many times, it feels like just a fact about yourself now. But that story is not a fact. It's a habit, a thought you've always repeated so many times it started to feel permanent. Think about somebody that you admire, someone who seems confident or focused or kind or just driven. Do you think they were born that way? Honestly, do you think they were born with all those qualities? Or do you think somewhere along the road they just started telling themselves a different story, started thinking of themselves differently? Something that I've learned is that confidence is not a personality type, it's a thought pattern. Resilience is not a superpower, it's a story someone kept telling themselves even when things got really hard. And you can choose a new story, starting right now. The first thing you need to do is catch that thought immediately. You can't change what you don't notice. So the first step is just to start paying attention. When something hard happens, what does your brain say about you? Write it down if you need to. Get it out of your head where you can actually look at it. The next thing is you have to question it. When you notice a negative thought about yourself, ask, is this actually true? Is this a fact or a story I picked up somewhere? Because most of the time, when you really look at it, it doesn't hold up the way it felt like it did. You also have to replace it, but make it real. This isn't about fake positivity. Don't just say, I'm amazing, if your brain pushes back at that immediately and says, no, you're not. Instead, you have to find a thought that's true and slightly better. Instead of, I always fail, try, I'm still learning. Instead of, I'm just not good enough, try, I'm working on getting better. Those small shifts in language are more powerful than big leaps that your brain won't believe. And the last thing you have to do is you have to act like the person you want to become, even before you fully feel like it. And this one is big. You don't have to feel confident to act confident. You don't have to feel like a healthy person to make a healthy choice. You don't have to feel like a writer to sit down and write. Every time you act in line with who you want to be, you cast a vote for that identity. And over time, those votes add up. The actions reinforce the thoughts, and the thoughts reinforce the actions. And slowly, you just become that person. Not because you forced it, but because you kept showing up for it. Now, I want to ask you something. If your thoughts had been quietly shaping you up until now, what if they've been building? And more importantly, what do you want them to build next? Because this is a thing that gets me every time. And it's that you have a say. You actually have a say in the person that you become. Not total control, because life definitely throws things at us, but you have so much more control than most of us ever use. Now think of the version of yourself that you actually want to be. Not the perfect version, but just a better version of yourself. Kinder to yourself, more confident, more focused, more at peace. What does that person think about themselves? And what do they say when something goes wrong? And what do they believe is possible for them? You don't have to overhaul your whole life overnight. You just have to start noticing what you're thinking. And little by little, start thinking like the person that you want to be. Because one day you'll look up and realize you became them. Not all at once, but thought by thought, day by day, choice by choice. And that's how it works. And that's how it's always worked. Your thoughts are not just passing noise. They are the raw material of your life. The person you are 5 years from now is being shaped right now by the things you say to yourself today. That's not pressure, that's power. You get to decide what story you tell. You get to decide what you practice believing. And you get to choose slowly, imperfectly, one thought at a time, exactly who you become. I will see you guys in the next one.